Who would execute an entire family, a glamorous TikTok star, her husband, and 2 kids, and leave their bodies plastic-wrapped in the back of a truck?
Una influencer y su familia fueron hallados muertos en su vehículo en Guadalajara.
Su cuerpo fue hallado junto al de su esposo y sus 2 hijos menores de edad en el barrio de San Andrés, en la capital de Jalisco.
This is the story of Esmeralda Ferrer, the so-called narco TikTok queen, whose rise and sudden annihilation in Guadalajara have left Mexico shaken. Her death was a brutal public warning, but a warning from whom to whom? In the next minutes, you'll see how her online persona, her husband's shadowy ties, and one terrifying message to the world all ended in blood. In the afternoon of August 22, 2025, passers-by in San Andres, Jalisco, noticed a gray Ford Ranger abandoned on their street. The windows were dark, and the smell around it was already foul. Sadly, people in this region are no strangers to dark scenarios like this, so it wasn't long before someone called the cops. When police cracked it open, they found 4 bodies wrapped in plastic like garbage. Esmeralda, her husband Roberto, 13-year-old Gail, and 7-year-old Regina. And I did say that people in the region are used to crime, but nothing this heinous, and nothing involving 2 little kids and an influencer, so it made national headlines overnight.
La Fiscalía de Jalisco ha revelado detalles del caso que está causando revuelo debido a que se trataba de una creadora de contenido en ascenso que exhibía lujos mientras su pareja se dedicaba a la compra-venta de vehículos y a actividades agrícolas.
Investigators quickly traced the truck's path. Cameras showed it reversing into a mechanic's shop just blocks away. Inside that garage, they found bloodstains, shell casings, and evidence of a violent execution. Prosecutors said,
que sí nos llevan a casi estar al 100% seguros de que ahí fue donde se victimó la familia.
And think about the evidence they found for a second. Plastic, a tarp, bullets, a truck, a family destroyed in one go. Yeah, every detail screamed cartel optics. But why Esmeralda? Before her death, Esmeralda was known online as Esmeralda FG. Her TikTok had over 40,000 followers, and her feed was pure aspiration. Gucci, Louis Vuitton, trips to beaches, sports cars. She embodied the buchona aesthetic, heavy makeup, cosmetic surgery, corridos tumbados, blasting in the background.
En TikTok ostentaba su vida de lujos bajo el usuario Esmeralda FG 222. La cuenta tiene más de 22,000 seguidores y más de medio millón de me gusta.
But the posts weren't just fashion. She once captioned a Gucci bag haul with the phrase, "The pros of having a narco boyfriend." That single line now feels like prophecy. Commentators asked, who feels proud to have a narco boyfriend? Detectives say the answer is simple. Many women across Mexico.
Ellen, they call themselves cartel wives, and tonight the women married to El Chapo's top dogs in Chicago are themselves trying to escape the federal doghouse.
I mean, at the time, you're living that life and you're blinded by pretty much everything.
Like these 2 cartel wives explained after living their glam lives behind, it's precisely the promise of never-ending Gucci's and VIP parties that attracted them to such husbands.
What you see on TV when you see the Kardashians, that's the type of lifestyle that we lived.
But soon, their husbands were arrested and put in federal prison, and when they started speaking out against glamorizing this lifestyle, the cartel started hunting them. Now, detectives in Guadalajara recognize the pattern. So yeah, Esmeralda's lifestyle may have been fantasy to fans, but to the cartels, it was exposure, and exposure, in their world, is a death sentence. So who exactly was her husband? On paper, Roberto Carlos Gil was not a criminal mastermind. He was 36, described as a car dealer, and a tomato farmer from Michoacan. Yeah, just like El Mencho used to be. But I digress. In Mexico, trades like cars and farming can be a camouflage. You see, people on the internet said it was Esmeralda targeted for her TikTok fame or her money, but the Jalisco prosecutor's office confirmed they were focusing on him, not his wife's influencer career, as the likely motive.
De momento, las primeras investigaciones apuntan a la actividad comercial del padre de familia como móvil principal del crimen y no a la actividad de Esmeralda.
That's a polite way of saying the businesses might not have been clean. The auto trade is notoriously easy to launder through. Buy cheap, sell high, move cash fast. Add in Michoacan agriculture, and you've got the perfect excuse to move shipments across territories. And those territories are cartel-controlled.
Una de las líneas de investigación está relacionada con las actividades del padre de familia, Roberto Carlos Gil, que se dedicaba a la compra-venta de autos.
This isn't prosecutors' paranoia. Cartel watchers say the Sinaloa and CJNG networks both rely heavily on front businesses like used car lots and farms to cover drug routes. Remember how the Beltran Leyva organization ran avocado exports in Michoacan? Same principle. The FBI and Mexican Marines have long documented that narcos mix licit exports with cocaine or meth hidden in trucks. And news like this still makes headlines today in the US, too.
We seized over 1,000 boxes containing cucumbers, and majority of those boxes contain methamphetamine concealed within the four corners of the boxes in small rectangular shapes, as you see on the table today.
Esmeralda's husband may not have been El Chapo, but if he was moving cars or produce under the wrong flag, he was crossing invisible borders, and cartels enforce borders with bullets. As this cartel expert says, the more details this investigation reveals, the more it all points towards Esmeralda and her children as the tragic collateral in a cartel war.
Starts to point more toward the background of the husband than necessarily Esmeralda and her children, which sadly have been pulled into this entire fray.
Alfonso Gutiérrez, vicefiscal de investigación criminal, explicó que la creadora de contenido habría sido víctima indirecta en este crimen múltiple.
The message, though, was direct. If Roberto was doing deals behind the wrong doors, the cartel made sure his whole family paid. It echoes the case of influencer Valeria Marquez, killed in Jalisco just a few months earlier, also after flaunting a narco-linked lifestyle.
A social media influencer is shot to death while doing a TikTok live stream at her beauty salon just outside Guadalajara in central Mexico. Valeria Marquez appeared to be speaking to someone off camera when she was shot in the head and chest. The 23-year-old was popular for posting videos related to beauty and lifestyle. According to local media reports, the suspect was a man pretending to bring her a gift. She died instantly. Her death is being investigated as a possible case of femicide, the killing of a woman or girl for reasons of gender. According to the UN, 10 women or girls are murdered every day in Mexico simply for being female.
Different names, same warning. Your husband's shadow can bury you too. But the real horror wasn't on TikTok or in police statements. It was hidden inside a neighborhood garage where investigators say the family's last moments played out on a plastic-covered floor.
In the disturbing footage, you can see Valeria sitting inside her salon in suburban Guadalajara.
Surveillance didn't just catch the truck on random streets. Cameras followed it straight into a neighborhood auto repair shop nicknamed La Araña. Inside, investigators found the truth no one wanted to see. Blood splatter, casings, and a terrifying timeline of a family annihilation.
Tras un operativo en el lugar realizado el lunes, se encontraron elementos balísticos y huellas de sangre.
The bloodstains were not just on walls or concrete floors. No, there was plastic all over the repair shop. Mike King, a retired commander, explained why the plastic mattered.
And you know, all you have to do is go back to the movies when you see the guy who's under scrutiny in the cartel, and he walks into the boss's office and that floor happens to be covered with plastic.
That detail, he said, is not cinematic. It's been cartel logic since before Pablo Escobar, laying down tarps to keep the scene clean before moving bodies. Cartels rely on a lot of factors to stay out of prison. One is bribing cops, another is threatening them, but another is avoiding them completely. And to do that, you need to clear out a crime scene ASAP, hence the plastic. Except in Esmeralda's family case, they didn't get to remove the plastic before the police actually found it and seized it as evidence. That's why prosecutors told media they were almost 100% sure the killings happened there. And just blocks away, the truck with the family's bodies was dumped. A short, brutal trip designed for maximum visibility. Then, the very men suspected of knowing what happened there vanished in front of prosecutors' eyes. At first, it looked like progress. Two mechanics working at La Araña were hauled in, Hector Manuel Valdivia Martinez and a man known only as El Chino.
Entre los sospechosos estaban dos trabajadores del taller identificados como Héctor y un hombre apodado El Chino.
Forensic teams had just pulled evidence from their shop, but within hours, prosecutors admitted they didn't have enough to charge them, so both men were freed. Minutes later, everything flipped. Outside the prosecutor's office, a dozen gunmen and trucks pounced. Hector and two companions were kidnapped in broad daylight. One man bolted and got away, but the others vanished.
Cuando estas personas salieron de la fiscalía, uno de ellos y dos personas más fueron secuestrados por hombres armados y se encuentran desaparecidos.
Mike King compared it to cult investigations he worked on.
So it makes sense to control the narrative if you can. And that makes really good sense if you have orchestrated something and you've left things undone, that you would try to control that.
That's the terrifying part. Suspects don't usually get snatched outside government buildings unless someone powerful wants them gone forever. Think of the Ayotzinapa case, where 43 students disappeared after being handed to cartel-linked police. The message is the same: silence the trail, even if it means storming official territory. It's just another way cartels are avoiding prison time, as brutal as it sounds. And once again, they seem to be one step ahead of the authorities. But that doesn't mean they don't keep digging. And just yesterday, a report blew the case open again. Bottom line, Roberto may have been the target, but Esmeralda was the match that lit the fire. You see, Esmeralda's TikTok wasn't subtle. Her videos flaunted Dior handbags, a red Jeep, beach resorts, and manicures that screamed buchona chic. To fans, it was aspirational, but cartels don't like attention, like Mike King explains.
All of a sudden, she's bringing what potentially could be the cartel and other drug dealers into the public spotlight. That's one place a criminal doesn't want to be.
Her feed was packed with narco corridos too. Songs like Bellica Mafiosa and El Mochomo, both glorifying drug clans. That soundtrack, plus all the luxury hauls, made it easy for rivals to pin her family as narco-linked. Reporters said the obvious on national TV.
Alguien es asociado a este tipo de compras y que las presume. Dime de qué presumes y te diré de qué careces, ¿no? Entonces, rápidamente se le va a asociar con este tipo de delincuencia organizada, porque de otra forma, ¿de dónde sacarían plata tanta para este tipo de cosas?
Esmeralda's followers once envied the haute couture and the luxurious holidays. Now, her profile is a shrine of RIP comments, so Roberto was a target for his cartel ties. Esmeralda for turning it all into TikTok stardom. But what if I told you even the kids were targets? Here's the part no one wants to talk about. When investigators revealed that 13-year-old Gail and 7-year-old Regina were also killed, the first question was obvious: why the kids? Even in the brutal logic of organized crime, children are sometimes off limits. But here, prosecutors and experts agreed this was no accident.
Why bring the kids into it?
Well, number one, doesn't that send a powerful message of control and dominion from the standpoint of the cartel?
Cartels in Mexico have used family killings as psychological warfare for a long time. In Michoacan, the CJNG executed the children of rivals to send a message: nobody is untouchable, and crossing us is a death sentence not just for you, but for your whole family. Think about it. This cartel wrapped the Ferrer family in plastic and dumped them in a truck for people to find. If they wanted them gone, they could have disposed of their bodies more privately. So yeah, this was a display of power, and part of that display is rooted in the same obsession with beauty, status, and spectacle that drives social media itself.
So I think that it's still the same fascination with beauty and success and other things, whether you're a cartel member or whether you're just a regular Joe.
But here's where we have to be careful. Esmeralda didn't deserve this. Neither did her kids. Murdering children isn't sending a message. It's barbarism, plain and simple. And the ones who need to be named as monsters are the killers, the cartels who thrive on fear, not the victims whose only crime was being seen. So how close exactly are authorities to bringing them to justice? If the garage was the kill zone and the suspects were snatched, what's left? Not much. The only man who escaped the kidnapping outside the prosecutor's office is in hiding. Well, too terrified to talk.
Un testigo desapareció después de haber rendido su declaración al respecto del crimen.
And to get removed by his cartel. Because once your boss sees you in the courthouse, you're an open target. Meanwhile, cartels will be trying to remove the people who might identify the man who ran. This is how cases die in Mexico. When suspects vanish, evidence gets buried, and witnesses evaporate. Justice becomes impossible. Authorities admitted it outright. The trail, right now, is cold, and so the investigation stumbles. Officials keep saying they are analyzing hundreds of hours of C5 surveillance, but without suspects to interrogate or witnesses to testify. They're working with shadows. The family was murdered, the suspects disappeared, and the public is left with speculation. This vanishing act echoes another high-profile massacre, the 2019 Lebaron family ambush in Sonora, where 9 women and children were annihilated in the most gruesome way imaginable.
This is for the record. Nita and 4 of my grandchildren are burnt.
Shut up. There's 5 kids sitting on the side of the road, got shot in the mouth, shot in the foot, shot in the leg.
Authorities promised justice. Even feds got involved.
The FBI is now investigating the murders of 9 American women and children in Mexico. The victims, all members of a Mormon community. They were ambushed last week near the U.S. border.
But it's been 6 years now, and prosecutions keep abandoning the case while cartel gunmen still roam free. Different state, same silence. And with every day that passes, justice for Gail and Regina slips further out of reach. Esmeralda's death isn't an isolated case. In Jalisco alone, multiple influencers have been targeted in the past 2 years. One was Valeria Marquez, shot dead after flaunting luxury cars online.
Valeria was a famous influencer in Mexico. She had that buchona look, which is, the body, small waist, curves, long blonde hair from Guadalajara. First she gets a Starbucks. A delivery man comes by, drops a Starbucks, and I think at that same delivery she got a plushie of a pig. And it's so interesting because in Mexico too, like a pig or a pig's head is really significant. It's like puerco. So you get a lot of the times too, people will, in Guadalajara even, when people take out hits, they'll leave a pig's head on top of that person. Show that person was dirty or vile, whatever the message it may be. And someone comments in the chat, "You shouldn't tell people where you are." And she says, "Well, everyone knows that this is my salon," something along those lines.
Another was the singer Irma Lydia, murdered in Mexico City in 2022. Her death was also tied to power and cartel-linked circles. Each case carried the same undertone. When narco wealth becomes content, danger follows.
Dime de qué presumes y te diré de qué careces, ¿no? Entonces, rápidamente se le va a asociar con este tipo de delincuencia organizada, porque de otra forma, ¿de dónde sacarían?
It's easy for critics online to point fingers at Esmeralda, to say she flaunted too much. Her last posts are filled not only with condolences, but also with blame. Why on earth would she reveal and brag about her husband being in the cartel on social media with such a big following? We need to stop calling PPL influencers just BC they had TikTok followers. The bar is so low. Keep your kids and your lives private when you are parents. But let's be clear, this blame is misplaced. Esmeralda didn't pull the trigger, and blaming the victims is exactly what lets the killers hide behind their spectacle. Experts warn that narco culture itself fuels this cycle. Narco corridos glorify the buchona lifestyle. Netflix narco dramas romanticize it, and young creators copy it for clout. But what they don't show is the price. The way cartels kill not only rivals, but families, children, and bystanders. Esmeralda's murder forces us to confront a grim reality. In Mexico, social media visibility can be lethal. When you glamorize narco wealth, you might attract followers, as well as assassins. So the question that haunts the internet now, how many more influencers will die before Mexico stops bleeding for cartel clout? Please feel free to share your thoughts with us in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more in-depth videos like this. Meanwhile, click on any of the cards on your screen right now to watch more of our videos.